Hi, this is Jerry Ball, and you're listening to The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to The Grueling Truth Cincinnati Bengals weekly show. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now I want to welcome in, subbing for Joe Kelly, who's flying to London, England as we speak for the Bengals-Redskins game, Mark Fightmaster. How you doing tonight, Fight?
Good, Mike. How you doing?
All right. Also, we have a special guest this week, played for the Bengals Super Bowl 16, greatest running back in LSU Tiger history. Help us welcome to The Grueling Truth, Charles Alexander.
How you doing? You must didn't hear of a guy named Leonard Fournette.
No, he ain't done enough yet, Charles.
Okay, all right.
He's not on with me right now, Charles.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
but really, he hadn't even played it. He's only played about a complete year total. But yeah, he's probably going to supplant you there. But still, it's not too bad to be at LSU. 100 years of pretty good football and be considered the second best guy either.
Yeah. But I'm going to tell you that Leonard's something special, man. It's going to really be interesting. I'm going to be really watching the draft this year to see how high he'll go in the draft.
So he's definitely coming out?
Well, he hadn't made the statement, but I would be willing to say that the odds are that with him coming out this year.
Yeah, especially with a running back. He's a lot more susceptible to injury, too, and losing that money.
Yeah, things have changed. Used to be the year, the running back used to stay 4 years. And here lately, though, man, it's like get the money while you can. Can't really.
Yeah, you go to college to get a good job, Charles.
Yeah, that's right. You're not going to get a better one.
Yeah, so what the hell anymore? There's all kind of people working at McDonald's that got college degrees, so you might as well go get your money while you can.
That's true.
All right.
Help.
All right, we'll start off. We'll recap the Bengals' 31-17 win over Cleveland, Mark. Concerns for me are without the Hail Mary pass, that's a one-touchdown game, and the Bengals did not look very good defensively again.
You know, I agree with you. That defense it's really starting to bother me. I mean, the defense has been the strength of this team. You know, last year I think they finished second overall in points per game, and this year they're down towards the middle. You know, I think there's several reasons for it. One could be the loss of Reggie Nelson. One could be that there's a lot of young players in there at safety and at the corners. You know, I mean, we lost Leon Hall, too. I think losing him on the edge may be playing a part in this. But also the thing that really bothers me is I don't see the team speed that I've seen in the past. So they have underperformed, in my opinion. We're going to have to see if they can pick it up because they've got, half the season to go or a little more than half the season to go, and they've got to rack up some wins here if they want to get into the playoffs. So
with their schedule,
we'll see what the defense can do.
With their schedule, I could see them doing that too. I think this game is huge.
Yeah.
The game coming up is huge to do that.
I agree.
My other takeaway is this. I mean, everybody ignores it, but Andy Dalton's having, I think, his best season.
He's having a great season, and we were talking before we came on the air, we were joking around about Brock Osweiler, and the money that he's making. Andy Dalton's got to see that contract and just be licking his chops. He is quietly turning in a very solid season. I think this is now multiple games without an interception, and he's doing great. He's finding the reads. He's checking down to his receivers. He's finding the open man. I think he's doing a great job.
All right, so that brings us to this week's game in London, England, which also I hate. I think it's stupid. But the Washington Redskins against the Cincinnati Bengals, I guess, in the London jungle.
Yeah.
I mean, right here, Charles, the one thing about the Bengals is the Redskins don't stop to run that great. They got Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard. Hill was unreal last week. I don't know if you saw it or not, but 8 or 9 carries, 165 yards. What's your take on the Bengals' run game, especially just the running backs?
Well, I'm a Jeremy Hill fan. Let's see, Jeremy's averaging over 5 yards a carry. Looks like he'll be close to 1,000 yards rushing this year if he stays healthy and continues to run like he's running. And you were talking about Andy Dalton. Man, I'm sure the Texans will be happy to take him. He's got about, 8 touchdown passes already?
Well, the thing about him is not the touchdown passes; it's the lack of interceptions. I think he's played 5 out of 7 games without throwing.
Yeah, he's only 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I think so.
And,
one in 2 different games.
2,000 yards throwing already. That might put him at 4,000 for the year. Yeah, he's got some great numbers, real good numbers.
Yeah, and the thing is, Mark, he's done that without. I mean, he's done it basically with A.J. Green. Brandon LaFell's played well, but outside of those two, there's not a lot more to throw the ball to there.
Right. Yeah, Tyler Boyd is still catching up. You know, so he's got to get with the program. James Wright, you know, he's a good receiver. He isn't doing anything. Brandon LaFell, to me, has been a very pleasant surprise. I didn't know what to expect out of him coming off the injury, but I believe if you look at his stats right now compared to Marvin Jones, they're almost same statistically. They're almost on the same statistic line. Excuse me there. So
really?
He's done a great job coming in. And the touchdown pass he caught against the Browns, where he got open on that double move, that was an excellent route. He ate that cornerback alive. And when I first saw the flag, I thought, oh, man, here we go, offensive pass interference, because he was so wide open, he had to push off, right? No, he just broke the guy's ankles, and he fell down and tried to hold him on the way down. That was an excellent route. And so he to me, has been one of the more impressive players on the offense coming in after a season that we didn't know what he was going to do.
Yeah, and the thing that's really impressed me about Dalton, and I'm going to put this to Charles, even though Charles never had this problem, I think, ever in his career, and that is basically a poor offensive line, which the Bengals are not playing well offensive line-wise. But, Charles, I don't think you ever played behind a bad offensive line in Cincinnati, but,
no,
I mean, what's it like for a quarterback and a running back when you're stuck behind one?
Yeah, I was real fortunate. We had some big studs when I played in Cincinnati. Well, I tell you what, I watched the Texans offensive line here in Houston, and I'm sure they'll be willing to trade the line too. If you think the Bengals line is suffering, you should see the one over here in Texas.
No, the Bengals line is suffering really bad. They're really similar to the Texans, Charles.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The Bengals have maybe the worst center in football. It's the worst center-guard combination. Bowling and
maybe things
Bodine
have changed this week. They're going to have to get up a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
With that trip to London,
I got to get up a little bit earlier just to watch it, too, Charles. That's the other thing I don't like about this London crap. I got to get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, see, I got to take my kids to school, or my one son to school every day, like 7 in the morning. And now the problem is this. Usually I get to sleep in Saturday and Sunday, but I coach my son's high school team, and for some reason we're playing Saturday at 1 o'clock, which means I got to get up about 8. And then Sunday the Bengals play, so I got to get up at 9, so that just shoots to hell all my beauty rest.
Yeah, because but the game starts at 9:30 Cincinnati time, right?
Yeah, and Mark's seen me before, Charles. I need that beauty rest.
He does.
So do you, Mark, so don't begin.
I know. I ain't going to give you too much crap.
But the other key I see to this game is Josh Norman's got a concussion, may miss the game.
Right.
So the Bengals offensively, I think A.J. Green's going to have a huge day again, Mark. Charles, I mean, you kind of, I don't know, probably Isaac Curtis, probably the closest thing you came to playing with a guy like A.J. Green, wasn't it?
Isaac and Chris were a pretty good pair of wide receivers when I played. I was looking at A.J. Green's stats, man. They're pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think he leads the league in receptions. He's either first or second in receptions this year.
I know he's got 50 catches already. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so he's on pace to get about 110 this year.
Yeah, exactly. He's
right, and you know, he doesn't get the publicity of Julio Jones or, you know, one of those receivers because he's so quiet about it. You know, I read an article earlier this week that actually said some of the offensive players get on him because he doesn't celebrate enough when he makes a big play. You know, he like Odell Beckham Jr. draws a bunch of attention to himself. A.J. Green, all he does, he makes a catch, scores a touchdown, and runs off the field. He is not a look-at-me player. And
well, see, I think that was kind of my comparison with him and Isaac Curtis. Because, you know, usually wide receivers are known as being the prima donnas, look at me. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, that's why he reminds me of Isaac, because you never saw Isaac do anything but flip the ball over his head. You never see him get mad and yell at somebody.
Right,
I mean,
that's true. That's true. You're right about that.
I think those guys are very similar to each other.
Yeah,
that's a good call.
With the receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Brown, he'll celebrate a little bit too, won't he?
Yeah, he will.
And get fined for it. So.
For some reason, wide receiver is always the position where all the guys that are a little bit off of it a little bit, play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think T.O. started all of that, huh?
I don't know. I think it started well before that even. But T.O. And Randy Moss, I think, brought it out more than anybody else.
You're right. I forgot.
I think they perfected it. The celebration.
Yeah, they perfected
it. Look at me. They perfected it.
Yeah, they took it to another level.
Yes.
Now, we go on the other side of the ball. We look at the Bengals defense. The thing I worry about, Mark, is they've got Jordan Reed, they got Vernon Davis. They've got Jamison Crowder, who's probably their best wide receiver now. I mean, they're going to spread the field out, and the Bengals are going to have to tackle Matt Jones. Hopefully he can fumble the ball for us. But the Bengals have had a rough time this year and in past years covering tight ends. Vernon Davis all of a sudden looks like he's 25 years old again. And with Crowder out there, it really worries me with the Bengals stopping Cousins and that offense.
Yeah, and it concerns me too, And as Bengals fans, how long have we talked about stop the tight end, and it never happens? What worries me is Gruden. He can tailor this offense to getting those tight ends out in space where they want them, or getting those one-on-one matchups with maybe a Carlos Dansby covering a tight end, which is not a favorable matchup right now. At least it hasn't been the first part of the season. So that is a concern. And then also just the lack of tackling. It seems like, what was the kid's name from Cleveland, the quarterback who came in? Hogan, the rookie?
Yeah, Chris
He
Hogan.
ran, a 35, 40-yard touchdown? And there were so many arm tackle attempts.
Yep, but I'll tell
ridiculous.
you what, Mark, I think a lot of that, and I'll ask Charles this. I mean, I know, Charles, when you were in training camp, when you were practicing in the 80s with Forrest Gregg, I mean, even Sam Weiss, you guys tackled a lot more than they do nowadays. Do you think the lack of tackling in the NFL is just because of the fear from the concussions and how much you're not allowed to hit now in practice?
Yeah, it has to do something. It has to have something to do with it. When you don't, and trust me, I wasn't jumping up and down to scrimmage on the third day of training camp.
No, because you was the one getting hit. You weren't tackling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal back in those days, but you got to do a little of it to keep yourself, I guess mentally, to know that what you're doing is sort of like to perfect what you're doing. If you don't block all the time, you'll kind of forget the fundamentals of blocking. So I think the same thing goes with tackling. You gotta kind of do it a little bit in practice. At least wrap up or go through the motions. But when I go and watch some of these teams practice, a lot of times, even if I'm seeing it on TV, they're just in shorts and T-shirts, and that's not the way it used to be back 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Charles, the one thing that stands out to me is it seems like there's a lot more injuries nowadays. Maybe not the head injuries, but it seems like players get hurt more in games, and there's a lot bigger bigger injury list coming out every week. With not tackling, I think maybe you're not as prepared to tackle.
Right.
And I also think that we had a tendency, and I'm not just bragging on or just talking about we were tough or whatever, but we pretty much, if something was wrong with us, we pretty much had to go unless it was really bad, We would play hurt, where these guys, a lot of these guys nowadays, they don't, if something's wrong, they're not going to really play hurt. That's just the way
I think a lot of that, is also the trainers back then were afraid to tell a coach a guy couldn't go, whereas today they won't.
And it's a mental game. It's a lot different when you got $10 million in the bank, or you just got $10,000 in the bank too.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna go out there and play hurt and make sure that somebody doesn't steal your job, because you want to stay in the league as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you got a guaranteed contract, if your hammy's not feeling good, you might have a little tendency to stay out a little bit longer and let that bad boy get well.
Yeah, I got a guaranteed contract, Charles, to tell you the truth. I'm just trying to pick out what island I'm going to fight or retire on when I'm done.
That's the nature of the beast, So,
no use risking injury then.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference, and guys are a little bit more secure nowadays than they were back then.
Yeah. So, Mark, what's your pick on this game?
Well, statistically, the Bengals should win this game. They rank 5th in the league in total offense. I think Washington ranks 20th in total defense. So I think that the Bengals offense could present some trouble for the Redskins. Now, the thing that concerns me about the game is the Redskins are one of the top passing offenses in the league. I think they're either right in front of or right behind the Bengals. And as Bengals fans, we've seen how our pass defense is this year. I think the Bengals win. I think it's going to be tight, 24-21, 27-24, something in that range, maybe a field goal difference. But this is a game that the Bengals have to win. I think you mentioned that before. This is a game that they should win, even though the records are, I think Washington's got a 4-3 record. Bengals are 3-4. I think this is one that the Bengals are going to come out a little bit hungrier. And I think they, as long as they can adjust to the time change and everything, it should be a good performance and should end up in a W.
All right. I agree with you. I think the Bengals win a close game. So, Charles, I know you watch football every Sunday. What running backs do you watch now that you really who are some of the guys you'd like to watch that played the position you played?
I like Bell from Pittsburgh. I think he's a pretty good back. Well, I think he's one of the top 2 backs in the NFL right now. I like to watch Jeremy Hill because of my ties with LSU and also, he's with the Bengals. So, want me to give you my prediction on the game?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say the Bengals are going to blow them out.
Nice.
Well, I like Charles picking that. Usually when we have guests on,
right. I hope so.
Most of them don't want to pick the game. That's why I didn't go to you right away. But go ahead.
34-10.
34-10. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Because I think his team's got a chance to do something if they win this game.
Yeah, and Hill's going to rush for over 100 yards. And
well, and you got Gio Bernard, too. I mean, to me, you get a little Ickey Woods. It's kind of like Ickey Woods and James Brooks with those two.
Right. I think Bernard
I hope Hill has a big day on my fantasy team.
Oh, don't bring up that fantasy football crap, Mark. Haven't you ever listened to other shows before?
I know. I have. Sorry.
I've gone over this enough.
I had to get it on all levels.
You know what? A grown man that has a fantasy that doesn't include a half-naked woman is not a grown man.
Okay, I can't disagree with you there.
I'm going to leave that one alone. No comment.
Oh, man.
But, Charles, I know you got a hot sauce business, too. You want to tell everybody about? Come on, man.
Yeah, I have a little business I started about 4 years ago. I have 5 products. They're all manufactured in the great state of Louisiana, in the city of Opelousas, Louisiana. I have an all-purpose seasoning. I have 2 hot sauces. I have a regular tomato-based hot sauce. I have a honey mustard hot sauce. I have a fish fry, and I also have a crab ball / crawfish ball that I have it in about over 200 stores. Just made its way on the East Coast. I'm not sure if it's in Ohio yet, but it can be ordered on the internet at www.comeonmancajunseasoning.com, and it's pretty good stuff, man. I gotta let you try it.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it. I'll definitely send you my address.
Okay, I'll do that.
I might even send Mark some, but he plays fantasy football, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
The only thing worse than playing fantasy football is soccer. But
right, I don't do that. The big question is, if I get some of the crab boil stuff, are you guys going to ship crabs with it? Because
No, we can't do that.
Can't really go down to the Ohio River and get crab, Out
yeah, you can.
Well, yeah. All right.
But I'm not going to go any farther with that.
I set that one up, I guess. But you can't, how about crawfish? Can't get crawfish.
Definitely can't get crawfish. Oh, that's funny.
Well, I think most of the crabs I've seen around the Ohio River usually around Cleves, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, Cleveland? Okay.
No, Cleves, Ohio. You've never been there, Charles. You don't ever want to go.
Kill me.
It's right down the river from where Riverfront Stadium used to be. Also, I mean, I always like to bring this up, but you get to play at beautiful Spinney Field, too. Do you want to tell everybody what that was like?
Oh, my goodness, man. What is that now? Is it still?
Well, I think they tear that down. Mark,
I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they tore it down. They've got a practice facility now where you can actually breathe without a gas mask and survive.
Yeah, and you're not playing on concrete that's painted green. So.
What was that stuff called? Like TerraTurf or something? Or tartan?
I don't know. But I've never heard of anyone getting cancer from breathing that crap over there. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it actually is hard to believe because I've had a lot of former Bengals on that always talked about that and how they would joke and wonder how many of them would end up getting that from that.
I hadn't heard of any of us catching anything, so cancer would probably run from that place. Yeah.
Oh, Charles, we're going to get you your own show.
Yeah.
They had a real good place about 2 blocks from Spinney Field where we used to all grab breakfast sandwiches, and bring them to the locker room and eat them right before our meeting started. And like I said, it was only 2 blocks, and guys would drive there. And by the time you got from the breakfast place back to Spinney Field, that brown bag turned dark brown from the grease that was in the sandwiches. That was always
sure wasn't the air at Spinney?
No, it wasn't there.
That could be.
Could have been either.
Yeah.
But, hey, Charles, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Hey, great having you on. We actually would have went longer, but I've had a sinus infection for like 8 days now. If I go more than a half hour, I just start coughing, and then I got to edit stuff out. We don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But, Charles, any final words? Go ahead, Charles.
No, I was going to say, more good luck with your fantasy team this weekend.
Hey, thanks, man. Thank you.
All right.
As long as Jeremy Hill runs a lot, I'll be all right.
All right, he'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, any final words?
No, Mike, you know what? Thanks for having me on, man. I always love coming on and talking Bengals. It's fun.
Anytime Joe can't make it, you're always welcome. Charles, same thing. Anytime you want to come on, you can come on also.
All right. Tell Joe I said hello.
I definitely will. Maybe we'll have you on in a few weeks with Joe. It's always a good time with Joe. Shows last a lot longer, too. Joe talks a lot.
Okay.
But he's got a lot to say, so that's all right.
He does.
Hey, everybody, check out the Grueling Truth, grulingtruth.net. Friday, we've got a legend show. I'll be interviewing former Denver Bronco legend Rick Epchurch, so make sure you check that out. You want to plug your show, Mark?
Yeah, we have the Bearcats on the Prowl. We record actually right now, so it's going to be Dominic and James this week, and we look back at the UC football game from the past week. It'll be ECU this week, and then we look ahead to the next game. And we've really been having a real good run of guests on the show, and we got a big one coming up in a couple weeks because we're not just doing football, we're also doing basketball. So on the same night, we're going to have Terrence Bird from the football side, and then we're going to have Terry Nelson from the basketball side on the same show. So that'll be in a couple weeks. So check it out.
All right, and now Dominic Goodman helps you guys co-host the show too, right?
Yeah, he's now a permanent co-host. So he he's great talking about Bearcat football. He loves it, and he's got some great insight.
Well, they got a big billboard of Dominic Goodman up in Cleveland, just like they do of LeBron James.
Yeah, with the Gladiators, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the greatest wide receivers in AFL history. He was a great player at UC. Played for the Commandos. Would have played for my River Monsters, but the Gladiators signed him right before our first game, actually.
Yeah, that's what James is saying. So, but
all right.
It's a fun show. We get together, we talk about UC football. We'll be talking about UC basketball. Make sure to check it out. It's called Bearcats on the Prowl.
So they're going to fire Tommy Tuberville?
I would have by now, especially after what Gunnar Kiel did on Saturday and having him sit for so long. No, we won't go into the
Gunnar Kiel's a guy that could get drafted by the NFL, but he wasn't good enough to start for Tommy Tuberville.
Exactly.
And you know how you can tell that Tuberville's about to be fired? Because he actually went nuts on the sideline. He got a penalty. He usually just stands there.
Yeah, he got angry. He showed emotion.
Yeah, because that means he's
feeling the heat. He's feeling the heat.
Yeah, and nobody else is hiring him. Maybe Taylor High School.
Yeah, maybe.
Taylor might hire him. I don't know. I mean, hell.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, Mark. Thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Hey, no problem.
Guys, check out Gridiron Mo, new football app. It's our main sponsor, www.gridironmo.com. Check out Charles Alexander's Come On Man sauce. I think that was www.comeonmancajunseasoning.com. That sound right, Mark?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, guys. So Joe Kelly will be back with me next week, as we will be during the bye week, so we'll have a guest on with us also. So for Charles Alexander, Mark Fightmaster, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.